Welcome back, everybody, or welcome to best podcast on the planet, Basketball City, Pure Buckets Podcast. How you guys doing today?
Pretty chill.
Cool.
Cool. We're coming right off the hot Western Conference first round recap. As you guys can see probably on my screen right now, I got the bracket pulled up. All the high, what's interesting? All the high seeds advanced. Not a single lower seed actually won.
Yeah, there was 0 upsets.
Well, 0 upsets on paper.
Yeah.
Obviously, I feel like there was a couple upsets.
There were definitely situations that should have been different.
Yeah.
A
couple situations that, I don't know. There weren't really much upsets, I would say. Because the Grizzlies were favorites, the Warriors were definitely Suns,
No,
and Dallas
literally
as well.
just the Jazz.
No,
It was only because it was only the Jazz series because Luka was out for the first 3 games.
Yeah.
We're losing still. That's the only situation that went
Yeah.
where people were expecting it.
But yeah, so basically, we're gonna be here talking about the East: Miami, Philly, Milwaukee, and Boston. The 4 teams that are moving on, the 4 best teams, I would say for sure in that conference. So it's gonna be shaping up to be a really good, not even finals, but just the entire playoffs. I feel like it so far has been pretty entertaining. Each series has been.
Agree.
There's some aspect to every single series on that has been really entertaining to watch. Even the sweep series, which we'll get into very shortly. But which one do you guys want to start off with? We can start with the low-hanging fruit here, or we can preserve it.
No. We're not starting with this week.
Okay, well, what do you want to go to?
We can start with the Milwaukee series.
Milwaukee. Let's get that one out the way. That's probably the easiest one to cover.
Yeah.
What do we think about Milwaukee? We'll go to
Actually,
Vipin first.
I'm not gonna lie. This is the series I watched the least of.
I think I actually watched the least of it as well. I won't lie. You know why, Rohan?
Why was that?
This series was predictable.
You're not wrong. You want to know something actually unreal for this series?
Let's hear it, Vipin.
Do you know what got the Bulls?
What their fault was?
What absolutely ruined the Bulls
Let's hear it.
was the Bucks smothering defense. Unreal defense by the Bucks. You know what the number is?
What number? What are your number referring to?
The Bucks had a 95 defensive rating for the series as a team.
Yeah.
95.
No, for sure.
Giannis had a 93. I don't even know. It was actually unbelievable.
DeRozan went off once. They were adjustment.
Yeah. The Bulls had so many problems offensively.
Okay, so
they shot 28% from 3 as a team, 40% from the
yeah,
field.
I was gonna bring that up. So how much of that is defensive, or how much of it is they just have no offense? Because there's one game 5. I'll tell you this right now. Obviously the Bucks are a good defensive team. We understand that, right? But game 5 was the announcers were even saying bro, I've never seen a playoff game where a team gets this many wide open looks and they miss every shot. The Bulls, I actually watched game 5. It was one of the only ones. I think that one and one other game of the series I watched. They just were. It was unbelievable. They just couldn't hit a shot.
Wait, is that because of the inefficiency of the Bulls being bad or the Bucks being good?
Well, you hear what I just? Well, you see what I said? The commentator said, I've never seen a team with this many open shots. Shots, and they're missing them. And honestly, another coaching. I don't really know how good a coach Billy Donovan is, but I can't really speak.
Right.
I can't really speak on him.
He's not horrible or anything.
Yeah, but I don't know. That game 5 in particular was what are we doing, man? You can't. They shot 52 threes and they made 15. In that one game, they shot 52 threes in the one game.
They're true.
You can't beat DeMar DeRozan and then obviously DeMar DeRozan is a star. We were talking about the MVP a couple months ago. You know what I'm saying? And you can't have him posting up 11 points. You just can't have that. Scores the 4th most on the team in that game. Patrick Williams is the leading scorer for the Bulls in game 5 with 23. Then it was Vooch. And then it was Kobe White off the bench. And Kobe White only scored more because Kobe White shot 13 threes.
Notice how it was never their main guys.
Well,
But
but
Vucevic, I guess.
another thing that I will say though, even if the Bulls were at full health, the Bucks are still winning the series because the Bucks are like that team. But this would be a completely different series in like how the games would actually be played, because Levine was missing time, Lonzo's obviously missed the entire thing. It just sucks, you know. Levine played what, game 1, game 2. How many games did he play in? Played in 4. Oh, so he actually played in the first 4. He just missed game 5. So yeah, that's why that game 5 was just so brutal to watch. And also Caruso missed game 5 as well. So they were there for the first 4 games of the series. But when you go back to, they went to Milwaukee for game 5, right? And you go in with, you're down Caruso, you're down Alonzo, and you're down Zach LaVine. You're left with DeMar DeRozan and Vucevic as like your quote unquote your firepowers. You know, those are the dudes that are putting up 20 a game. You know what I'm saying, in the series so far. And it's only them two. And like they're not. DeRozan is very capable of obviously dropping lots of points, but he's been very on and off this series. Like he had one game where he dropped 41 in game 2, and then he had the next game after that he had like an absolute disaster class. You know.
You're right. That's valid.
But I don't know. I think it's like it's a thing where the Bulls obviously these were one of the things. That's why I said it's predictable. The Bulls and how like their team was working out were one of the few things that we could predict going into the playoffs. Like we were saying a long time, along with everybody else, we're like, you know, the Bulls are that team. Like I'd rather have the Raptors over the Bulls. The Bulls team, like they're gonna get no matter who they play, they're gonna lose in round 1. Like we've been saying that.
I mean, though, I won't say that, you know, we weren't kind of nervous when Middleton's injury came up.
No, for
scary.
sure. Well, that's something to talk about too. Like we'll talk about that, especially like I guess like looking forward.
That'll affect them later in their
when we go
second round.
When we talk about the sweep series, we'll bring that up. But
yeah, but for this series, it was kind of scary because, you know,
Yeah.
It was tied, I think, at that point.
Yeah, it was a 1-1 series, and then the Bucks just absolutely they won in double digits for the next 3 games.
Every other game.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like they didn't have it. Or well, I mean, it's not like they didn't have a chance to take over. It's just that they didn't.
Vipin, what does this series tell you about Milwaukee?
Nothing that we didn't already know.
Yeah, they're really good team.
From this. We know what they've done. We know Giannis does. Like me seeing Giannis average.
We know they're trying to run it back. You know?
Me seeing Giannis average 29 or 28.6, 13 and 6 is like, all right, yeah, that's him. We know this. We know this. I'm not shocked by them winning this first round series. We know you guys. I'm sure I've seen the Bulls' winning record against good teams, right?
Yes, of course.
Pretty awful. This
Worst
was
in the
expected.
league.
I'm not too shocked, huh?
Yeah, the Bulls is the worst in the league. That category you just said.
Yeah, exactly. Their schedule, they play a lot of easier teams, which is a lot of people which allowed them to like. A lot of people like look at them like, wow, they might be like pretty good, no? And then they play good teams and get smashed.
Yep.
And surprised they didn't take even a second game. I think it was just because DeRozan just wasn't playing good.
For sure. All right, I'll direct this one to Rohan. Rohan, where do you think the Bulls, or what do you think they have to do? You think in the off season, is it just a matter of getting healthy, or do you think moves need to be made in some degree? Just based off of like what you watched from like the latter end of the season, and then obviously this postseason. I know you did say this was probably the series that you watched the least.
I'm pretty sure I watched through like the first.
But this series, besides the sweep that we'll get to, was the most dominating series. It might even be able to say this is more dominating than the sweep.
Only because they lost by, what was it, like 30 and like 10 and then 10 again.
Yeah, like at halftime they were already out of these games, and you could tell like the players in Game 5 they just weren't feeling it. There was no like, you know.
I mean, looking at the score, it might be like they were just really bad defensively as a whole. Because I mean, obviously Giannis is gonna do his own thing, right?
Of course, you can't really stop him.
But without Chris Middleton, they were still putting up over like 100 points.
Yeah, of course. They have a very deep roster.
I do agree that they have a deep roster, but like they didn't like even like I mean the role players were going off too. So at certain
Well, that's
points.
what
So,
makes
I
them a
mean,
championship team, Rohan. You know.
yeah, but I mean like you got to try and at least contain them, which I feel like Chicago didn't do this series
Mm.
that well.
Well,
Which also be
Chicago is not a very good defensive team. We know that anyways. So are you implying then that they need to make a move for defensive pieces?
Yeah, I would agree that they should try and make a move for defensive pieces.
Do you think they look towards the draft or do we look towards free agency? I don't even know if they have picks. I genuinely don't know.
I generally, I don't know what their draft situation is looking like.
But like, do you think if this is a team, because they are, I mean, they're like their average age, the Bulls team, their average age is only 26 and a half. So like they have some young guys. Patrick Williams is a good young guy. He's actually like a pretty good defender. I'm pretty sure like he's like a two-way kind of guy, like a small forward. You got Kobe White who's still 21 years old. They got even Ayo Dosunmu, who's a young. He was potentially like he had a good stretch of games during the Bulls' like really rough injury stretch in the regular season. He was pretty good, but their main guy, and obviously Zach LaVine's also 26 years old only.
Yeah, so I was gonna say in that situation they should probably look for free agents because I mean,
but what do you?
I don't know how much more young. Yeah, because I don't know how the free agent situation because realistically I feel like defense is kind of their issue.
But like,
because a lot of these games were blowouts. Because I mean, you just can't keep up with a team just based on your offensive power.
But like, because if they get Lonzo back, Lonzo's not a defensive player. Caruso and Patrick Williams are like your defensive guys.
Yeah.
Vucevic is not a defensive center, so that's already a violation in the paint. DeRozan, I'm pretty sure he's not a defensive guy either. Zach LaVine's not a defensive guy. They have a very, very fun team, an entertaining team, but that team is so inconsistent to where their strengths on the offensive end can become like their biggest enemy. So, Vipin, you got any more standpoints, big points, moving forward for either team?
Do you think
any moves?
Whoa, do you think they should trade Vucevic? What do you think about that?
I honestly, I think just looking at what they have. See, he's actually like a great stretch big because that's like kind of like the system that they run in. But I feel like if they want to get a more, it's hard because I feel like they work really well together. But if they want to get a more all around like championship team, I feel like they do need to get rid of Vucevic because they already have the offensive firepower, and they don't really have much. What is like if you look at their roster that played in this playoff series. Tell me another center who's the next center other than Vucevic on that team. The only one on there is Tristan Thompson.
Oh wow. Really? That's it?
And they have Tony Bradley, but they have Tony Bradley too, but he doesn't.
Yeah, but Tony Bradley barely played.
Yeah, but you can't. Yeah, but like you have Tony Bradley and Tristan Thompson, who are playing the fewest amount of minutes out of anybody else on the roster. So Vucevic is, they're using Vucevic, or if they obviously when they bench him for like a quarter's worth of the game, they run a smaller lineup, and which sucks because none of their guys, they don't already have the defensive pieces. So I feel like they need to get an actual center. If they get rid of Vucevic, whatever. But if they keep him and they just get an actual defensive center or a defensive even power forward to play alongside of Vucevic, now we're talking a different game.
That would change it up like a lot, bro. That would help so much.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we'll move on then.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Ron. What were you gonna say there?
Because going based off this series, I feel like obviously Milwaukee was a better team, but if like they wanted to even try and keep up, they would have to basically try and limit the points that Milwaukee can get.
Yeah. And Giannis didn't even have to try super hard in some of like that third game. That third game, it was Grayson Allen was the leading scorer. I'm pretty sure in that game. No. Grayson, by the way, Grayson Allen, he is becoming a real role player. He is actually like, as much as I don't really like him, he's kind of grow on me, and he's actually like, he actually had a really good offensive series. He just thrived against the Bulls. So, whatever. We'll move on now to the next series. Which what do you guys want to go for here? Another easy one to talk about in Miami, or do you want to go for one of the two big hitters?
Let's talk to the Nets. Help the Nets, bro.
Okay.
Open up the Nets.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna say my prediction on this one just not even close to happening. Win.
I mean,
7
I don't
games.
think. I mean, you could consider none of these games actual blowouts, but a lot of these were like
they felt like blowouts.
yeah, they felt like blowouts because just the Nets didn't feel like playing, I guess, in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I feel like Katie just didn't feel like showing up. No,
I
like
mean,
a little bit in like the last game, but like before then, like Katie and Kyrie didn't play that
yeah,
crazy
like
well.
Kyrie played good in the first game. That's about it, though.
this series was basically just about Kevin Durant for some reason looking like a volume shooter. Like he gets the numbers that he got in the series because he was shooting at a high volume.
So weird for him because
Yeah.
that's not him. That's not his play style.
Yeah.
He's usually super efficient with his shots, yeah. Just not in this series.
Kyrie had a better series, but did not have a good. Like the one game that Durant had a really good game, Kyrie did not have a good game.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just about that's the issue with that team is that you need both of them to play really well. I feel like.
Yeah. That might just be kind of bad luck and inconsistencies
Do you think it's bad
on
luck?
their part. No, bad luck and inconsistencies like that they've had basically throughout their regular season too.
Mm.
Also because obviously Kyrie didn't play too much during the regular season either.
Do you think that impacted the series in any way?
Chemistry wise, it should have,
Yeah, you're
and
right.
it might have impacted,
Hell, it
consistency
impacted
wise.
so much, man. Not being able to play with your actual roster in like, all the games causes such a problem. Because
Because,
Harden left.
like, I mean, if they had him, they wouldn't even be in this position as a 7th seed. They probably wouldn't have had to play in the play-in.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's that, and then on top of that, like I said, consistency becomes a big issue if you don't play and then start playing in the playoffs.
Also, look at the Nets rebounding.
Yeah, surprisingly, they
Pretty
lost in the
horrible.
rebound. Yeah, they lost in the rebound by like 5
Their leading rebounder
on
was
average.
Nicholas Claxton. 6 boards.
And I mean, they're not really a small team, so should have been a bit closer than that.
Yeah. But what else do you have to say here?
The Celtics are kind of scary, I guess.
I know. They're scary, all right. They are
uh,
scary. I definitely underrated
They
them.
look
before
like
I
they
come to
look
this.
like a pretty complete team, I guess. I can't slander them anymore, despite my prediction. Yeah, they look like a
Shout out to them.
That has a pretty. They look like Chicago's like offense with a very noticeable increase in defense.
Yeah, no, the Celtics. I mean, I'm glad me and Lewis, like, even though we had the Jazz, we made up for it by having the Celtics winning the series.
Yeah.
You know who else had the Celtics? Daniel. But guess what? He did better. He did better than me and Lewis. Because me and Lewis still had this series in 7. Daniel had it in 5.
Dang, it was a
knew
game.
that.
Off.
No, but not even that. He had the Celtics going to the finals right now.
I mean, that's a possibility.
Very possible, but like that's
Yep.
Whatever. But I'm not gonna talk on Daniel because he's a bum and doesn't go to the recordings. But
Yeah, I made it for my Nets. Unfortunate with the Jazz prediction.
I think there was a point where they had a lead during the 4th and they just blew it. I'm pretty sure, right?
Well, I mean, game 1.
Was it just game 1?
I mean, well, no, but I'm saying just game 1 specifically. The Celtics won that game because of a buzzer beater.
That one. I mean, that's just on their defense. Speaking of which, I don't think they had a very great defense either.
Good play, man.
No, it was a great play. I don't know how much of it was intended, but it doesn't matter. Like that first game, we were like, "Oh my god, this is gonna be such a good series," and then it just like ended up being the same thing in every single game. It ended up just being
Like it was close for a second, and then the Celtics just take it.
Yeah. No matter how the box score looked, it just looked like the Celtics were always in control of the game. Durant and Kyrie never really took over the game.
Despite like
game
them
1.
being up. Yeah, despite them being up by like 3 or 4 points, like for most of the game, it didn't feel like they were. It felt like they were down or tied.
Vipin, what does this series tell you about Jason Tatum?
He can switch modes depending on what the series needs.
Hmm.
We know he can play offensively very well,
versatile.
but he can also go like, all right, I'm gonna go focus and put all my energy in locking down KD,
Very true.
which he played that pretty well. I mean, like the defense really didn't show that too well, but like
He contained him for like majority, like
he
3
for most
games
of the
out of 4.
games he was able to make KD work for any of the points he got, and I think that really slowed down KD, and that helped him win the series a lot. He didn't score too much, did he? No, he
Who?
definitely did also score. He did
No,
everything.
he
Bro.
also scored. Yeah, bro.
He averaged 30 basically, so he
Yeah,
did
he
everything.
averaged 30.
He did everything.
He can
That's
do
why.
both things.
That's why I've seen people already been saying it's pretty recency bias, but there's people saying I'd rather have Jason Tatum than Kawhi Leonard.
No, that's I'm not.
I don't know.
Oh,
about
then
that
maybe. I
one.
mean, Kawhi's injury prone,
No,
but like
I
it
wouldn't go.
depends on
No, but not like that. I wouldn't go that far though. I'd rather have Kawhi.
Oh, just like I still if you're not
Like,
talking
who's
about like,
better?
who's better, just Kawhi. No, it's not close.
But
No, it's not as close, but Kawhi.
I wouldn't say it's pretty close, depending on how. Actually,
Hey, Tatum's
I don't
taking
know.
that step.
I don't
bro.
know if I would give him props yet until they get past the second round.
would you say that? Would you say that Jason Tatum should be in all of our top 10 lists for this season?
Oh yeah, for sure. I
He's
mean,
not
they're
in there.
this
'Cause
two seed,
we
man.
didn't have him. We didn't have him before. Nobody had him in. Back in December.
Really, no one.
Nope.
Dang,
I think maybe it was one person's honorable mention, but
kinda sad.
but do you think so? So he's top 10 for this season. But do you think he's top 10 players going into next season? Is he officially a top 10 player in the league?
Yeah. Yeah. I want to see how the rest of the playoffs goes, but like if he keeps this up, yeah.
I think I'd agree.
I don't. Yeah, I don't see him dropping off anytime soon in the playoffs. So yeah, I would say he's probably still a top 10 player.
But I guess like what do you guys think? Like what I mean, apart from just like the very obvious like horrible matchup for you could say like it's a thin Nets team versus a defensively the best defensive team since January. It's a tough matchup. But what else? Like, what do you think actually went wrong?
For the Nets. Right?
Well, I mean, nothing went wrong for the Celtics.
I mean, you can't not with the win
Having
every
your
game.
two main stars not play like as amazing as they usually do in the playoffs.
And then
that hurt.
trading your third one for Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons, who didn't play, I thought he'd play, man.
No, that actually was really bad. I think that actually had a very interesting impact on the whole series.
Because the
Yeah,
Nets
people are
already like
overlooking.
didn't have much like depth. Losing Harden and getting Simmons, especially when Simmons doesn't play, makes their depth problem even worse.
I also think like him basically saying that he would play and then not playing
Yeah,
is
that's
like kind of like
horrible.
that's like a mental thing in a series like this where you're like basically losing almost every game and you're
Even
down
if-
like
I think-
especially if you're down 3-0 and you tell that to your team like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play in the fourth game, and then I decide, you know what, nah.
I think that's a really bad like. I feel like that's not really such a bad look for just himself from like I guess like from media and stuff. But I feel like his teammates might like. I feel like they already, even though they haven't played, I guess together technically, they just from kind of hanging out. I feel like his teammates are be like, yo, like, come on, man, we just need you to play like a little bit. Like I heard some people were
Show
talking
up,
about
like
it.
get the uniform on, do stuff, man. But I
Yeah.
don't know what's going on in his head.
Shaq, Stephen A, like all the analysts were just talking about like, yo, I don't care, like, because at the end of the day we don't really know, I guess, what's going on like mentally.
Like
He's
I
having
don't think
actual
people
mental
were
issues.
expecting him to actually like play well or anything. They just wanted him to at least try.
Yeah, but at this point it's excuses. Did you guys see that quote? Like it looked like a ball sack sports quote that he said.
Which one? The
The
KD
one,
one?
no, the one where he said like the reasoning why he didn't play in Game 4, even though he was supposed to. He was saying like it's like I have like we're talking about like mental things, and how it's triggering a stress point in my lower back. And so because that's why the ultimate reason he didn't play was he pinned it to back tightness in his lower back, and he said that was caused by like it being like a stressing point. I was like, bro.
I mean, I don't know how much of
He's not
that
like
is
he's
true.
like saying stuff, man.
Yeah, it
But I
sounds
don't know.
like it's
I don't know.
excuses.
I'm not him. I don't want to like discount his mental health
Yeah.
stuff, but like
So
I don't
like
know.
if he actually has an
Might be
issue, then
excused.
that's fine.
Wait, you guys keep talking. There's one thing I wanted to pull up. There was something that someone said about Ben Simmons that I love. I have to pull it up. So you guys can just, what do you guys want to talk about then?
I don't know. I just feel like, yeah, I just feel like, other than Ben Simmons drawing attention to himself, like inconsistency was the main issue for the Nets.
Hopefully they do something about the depth problem.
Yeah. Also, hopefully they just pray they don't get injured again.
Hopefully Ben
And
Simmons
that Kyrie
plays.
can play. Hopefully Kyrie and Ben Simmons actually, start playing in the regular season. That would be very helpful.
No, very, very true. Very, very true.
Both for their seeding and for, overall cohesion. But yeah.
Man, I'm having a hard time finding it.
You can't find it.
I don't know what I'm like still looking, but what else? What do you guys take away for like the other players, like Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown?
They stepped up. They had pretty good games. Pretty clutch.
Played well, but Brown shot so poorly from 3 for some reason. I don't know why. He only shot 21% from 3.
I mean, true. The Nets aren't really a great defensive team, so
So that's like
not
on
a
him.
good sign. Yeah, that's not a good sign.
Yeah.
What else? I will say though, a lot of the Boston wins obviously seemed a lot more like a team effort. Even though Tatum was obviously still going off on the offensive side of the ball. Offensively, it seemed like a lot more of like a team game that Boston was playing. Which makes it a horrible matchup for Brooklyn. Because, clearly a full complete team versus, a team that's struggled basically all.
Okay, I don't know if this is the exact one, but this one says, I'm all for mental health, but you've literally gotten everything that you've wanted, and it still seems like it's not enough.
Yeah, he has gotten everything he wanted. I don't know what's up with him.
Like it's to the point where we're actually like sitting here questioning, like, does the number 1 overall pick actually want to play basketball? Does he actually want to play basketball?
Will he ever come back?
I don't know. Well, whatever. We'll move on now from the Boston series.
Yeah.
We'll go to the easy. Yeah, we'll do that one. Miami, Atlanta, 1v8. It was an interesting series for sure, and this one honestly was highlighted by the struggles of Trae Young.
Yes.
Trae Young is Cole's actually the biggest Trae Young agenda pusher.
Are you serious right now?
I'm just making sure to bring this
No,
up.
don't talk to me about that. Do not say that to me.
I was hyping up Trae Young before the series just for him to average 15 points per game.
I mean, he ran New York last postseason. He took down who was it? He took down Philly. The next series, he literally carried that team to the Eastern Conference Finals.
That was last season.
Yeah, that was last season.
We're talking about this series, no?
No, but that's the thing. It's like, oh, okay, well maybe last year things changed. They have the same roster from last year. That's what the Hawks were. The Hawks were a bit of an anomaly going into this year because they had the same roster. Like, they just brought everyone back with more experience, and they had more money. Like, they paid some of their players, and then they underperformed what they did last year, and we didn't really know why. But Trae Young obviously still had a fantastic regular season. Obviously, the reason I said I like Trae Young a lot is because of that. He led the league in points and assists, which is only the second time I think that's ever happened. I think the only other person to do that was maybe Tiny Archibald. I could be wrong about that, but I know it's the second time that's only ever happened. So
I really think the issue is that maybe with like teams with really good defense, Trae Young's just falls like slightly inconsistent with his offensive output. Because like he can obviously go off, get you like the points he was putting up in the regular season, but the issue is that like on those off nights, he's kind of just like even his assists in this game wasn't even that good either.
It's a
But
lot
that might
lower
be
than what he's normally is. Yeah.
yeah. So I think that's mainly Miami, just having amazing defense and containing
Well,
them.
there's a reason Miami's the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
Very, very solid team.
Since training was shut down, and since his assists were like not too high either, he doesn't provide anything.
No, very true. He was struggling.
I wouldn't say.
Because we know
Yeah,
him
like in
as
this
like,
series,
a
he didn't
hyper
provide
offensive
anything.
player, right? Who doesn't care too much of a defense, and he's not a good defender.
Yeah.
So if he's not
So
going
it's kind of
well
like-
on offense, he's a massive detriment to your team. Which is what happened in the series. So the Heat got to him, and they were just lock him down.
Mm.
That Heat defense is killer, bro.
Killer. Jimmy Butler for me is so far the best player in this playoffs.
Yeah,
I
he,
think he's
he
averaging the most,
30,
right?
like 38 and 5 with almost 3 steals a game. Like, dude,
It's
That's
him.
crazy.
It's him. Jason Tatum and Giannis are the top 3 right now. But Jimmy Butler is surprising everyone because he's shooting the ball well. And Jimmy Butler, specifically Jimmy Butler, is not a type of guy to put up 30 a game. He's never been the 30 scorer. He's always been in the 20s. For him to drop 30 in a series like this, he's like really stepping up to the challenge. He's more than double than anybody else on the team behind him. You know, so. He's just playing phenomenally. I don't even know what to say about Jimmy Butler. He's just unreal. But again, we knew like this. Whoever was going to play Miami was probably going to lose, right? Even if it was Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So
I would still.
who do you think has better chances moving forward, Miami or Boston?
Miami, I'd say.
Not
Explanation?
gonna lie.
Butler, since he's been to the finals, right? Even though it was the bubble, I get it. He's been to the finals, and I feel like him being there and him like we know he plays well in the finals, so he's not really gonna choke too often. I think that is like reason enough for me to think that he'll like keep it up. And I think he's played better than Tatum so far. And also the Heat are also like pretty deep, right? They have like a deep team. Like if you let me get their scoring. Their scoring's pretty spread out.
Not very
With
true. Very, very true.
Oladipo averaged like 14.5 from the bench. He played well. He didn't shoot too well from 3, but that's nice points off the bench. Very helpful. Harris started? Yeah, Harris. Did he start?
No, he never starts.
Sure.
They start Max Strus over him. Who Max Strus came out of nowhere, by the way. And he's also a really good 3-point shooter. So they have 3 dudes. They have Strus,
well.
Harrow, and Robinson, who are just strictly 3-point threats.
Most of Miami offense is from like centering around Jimmy, which is potentially a scare. Because if you can shut down Jimmy, that'll really hinder the Heat. But I feel like it'd be hard to. Because even if he's not scoring, he can do so many other things.
Well, the good thing that I saw is that Tyler Harrow did actually really struggle this series because he's supposed to be a shooter and he like had a really, really hard time. But just because of the way that the Heat team is like built with obviously the 3-point shooters again, and Jimmy stepping up just individually, they didn't even need Tyler Harrow really to do much.
Oh, it's a pretty good sign.
6th man of the year, had a hard time against my Atlanta, but doesn't even matter. And then obviously, you know, yeah, it's, I don't know. What do you guys think about Atlanta though, moving forward?
I would keep the players to try to run it back. I mean, I don't know what really trades you could do, but just like, hopefully Trae Young gets better at defense. I don't really know how he can, but
So if you think, tell me the logic then behind how you think this Atlanta team that made the play-in tournament and won 2 games out, they were the 9th seed, and then they had to play a #1 seed. You tell them, okay, just run it back and hope for the best. But you tell a team like Utah or other teams that get eliminated, they have to make moves.
older than the Jazz. Not the Jazz. The Utah is older than the Hawks. I think that's what played that decision. I still do stand by the Jazz wanting to probably blow
It's
something
kind
up.
of like it's kind of based on how like the
I don't know,
Jazz
the
lost.
Jazz are in an interesting situation.
Because no, like the Jazz lost against like a team that was basically injured for their like first 3 games.
Hmm.
Because Cole before like what was it? I think it was it game 1 or game 2, Cole, where you said without Luca, Dallas might be actually the worst team
I actually did say that. I
in the
did say that.
playoffs
I said the
with
Dallas
Jalen
Mavericks
Brunson
without.
being there.
It was before Game 1 started. So before any of the series, I said I looked at that team. It was middle of the game. I was like, because that's when Jazz were like up. Because remember, Jazz ended up like winning that first game. I was like,
Yeah.
bro, this Mavericks team without Luca actually looks like a YMCA team. But it's so different because Jaylen Brunson is an absolute menace.
Yeah. So, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I think the Jazz losing to that is just like a lot more, you know, telling of what they were doing than like this Hawks series, because I mean it was a 1 versus 8 seed.
Hmm.
So I mean no one was really expecting the Hawks to take them to like 7 games or something.
Yeah. I mean, the Hawks only win in this series was by 1 point.
Yep.
So
But I mean I wouldn't say keep it the same.
what do
personally
they
speaking.
need then, Rohan? Because I feel like to me, no matter what they get, if Trey performs like he did in the series, there's no way they ever win.
Yeah. But maybe he needs like I feel because he can give you like a ton of assists as well. It's not just points that he can give you on the offensive end. So, and if the offense is like mainly running through him, giving him like someone who can play off those assists would probably be the best thing you can do. And then obviously on the defensive side of the ball, you need to find someone
Yeah.
because he's kind of a liability regardless of what he does. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I doubt that he'll improve uh anytime soon, at least.
Is there any
And
more?
it's not like it's not his fault. It's just because his size.
Yeah. I mean, you're
But
saying
like,
his
no,
defensive prowess isn't his fault.
no, it definitely. Well, okay, yeah, some of it is his fault because he's also just lazy on defense sometimes.
Some of it's his fault. Just because you're 6 foot, just because you're a point guard,
I'm
doesn't mean
saying
you can't
like
play defense.
no. I'm saying like okay. I'm saying that most of it is his fault.
What isn't his fault about defense?
Just no. Just like the size disadvantage he has. That's like the only thing that would give you like a slight excuse.
All right, I get you. Any more opinions on that series, or do we go on now to the final?
Yeah. I'd say. I mean, I don't. It's kind of.
This
I'm
series,
not too shocked.
no one was shocked. The Heat were even saying themselves like this was a series where they just had to go in and get their business done and then just move on. Like they weren't even really like they were focused on the next series, and the next series after that kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
So for them, getting it done in 5 is probably expected. I will move on to the final one we're going to be talking about for the first round. It is Rohan and Vipin. You guys can really lead this one because it's a very important series. Toronto, Philly.
Yeah.
I think James Harden will ever be a good playoff performer.
Well, he's got to
Like,
be
is
now,
that just
since,
is he just doomed to like not be one?
I mean,
I feel like people, you know what it is? It might be a hot take on my end. I feel like people overhate Harden and over deflate his numbers or his impact in the playoffs. I feel like it's
Like-
gone too far.
I don't think I can say that. Like, you can't completely dookie on him, but like, we've known that he has not been a playoff performer his whole career. Like in massive games, he didn't show up too often, you know. Like, hold on one second. What did Harden do for the whole series? He averaged 19, 5 rebounds, 10 assists. No, that's not bad at all. Obviously, I just feel like he should be doing more. That's like the second. score option, bro.
What does he need to do
I'm
more?
not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie.
Like they
He's
won
probably
well
gonna
here.
have to do more now.
I'm just
because
saying
Embiid
in the
got
future
injured.
series when they play like a more difficult team, he will have to do more, and that is when the Sixers' biggest problems come
Okay,
to
well,
show.
to me, the only thing that Harden has to do more is just put the ball in the basket.
Yeah, I don't know if he can do that.
I mean, he's doing it. He's doing it a good amount. He's putting up 19, but with
That's not
Embiid,
bad.
if Embiid's thing is like, because he's out indefinitely, so we don't really know. That could be like, he could come back after missing game 1 with a face mask and just say, "F it, we ball," and just run it. So we don't really know. But regardless, James Harden is gonna have to step up.
This is like, I guess, the truest of tests because he's probably gonna be out for game 1.
This is Harden's first true test. Well, not first, because he played against Milwaukee last year in the second round. But first test with Philly, second test overall, going up against a really, really solid team finally
full
playing.
test when he's like super healthy at the start of the season.
Finally playing on a team that he kind of like. He doesn't have to be the leader. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not. It's not like Rockets James Harden.
Yeah. He doesn't have to do. I'm not asking him to average 35, bro. Just more than 19, like 25, something like that. I feel like he could do that. In a more important series, it will come down to that. You think he could? Do you think if Embiid has a bad game, do you think Harden could be like, all right, it's my time. I'm gonna go and drop 40. You think he could do that?
I genuinely don't think he feels like he has to when he's surrounded by Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, and plays like. I think he's too focused on like trying to facilitate.
I understand that. That is his main role to facilitate on this team. But think of that situation I just told you. If the other players have a bad game, what will James Harden do? Do you think he'll have a good game?
No, that's what I'm telling you though. I feel like he's not like he doesn't have like that. I think he doesn't have the
Though.
Chris
That's the
Paul
problem.
switch where it's like, because Chris Paul is like, okay, I'm facilitating, or it's like, okay, I'm gonna take this game over. I'm done playing. I don't know if Harden actually has that.
I don't know
in
if
him.
he can find which situations is it like where he needs to take over, or which situations where facilitating would be the better option because he's like having an off night.
He is
or
the
could have an
beard.
off
He
night.
needs to realize that he is James Harden is, without a doubt, to any franchise, still a superstar. He has to understand that he is one of the greatest scorers we've ever seen. He has to go back and figure it out and lead this team past Miami, or else Ron's gonna cry.
Will actually be in tears.
So sad. I mean, looking at this series specifically, since we're talking about the next one more than this one, the first like 3 games, I mean, they played pretty well. I mean, except for the third game, super close. But next 2 games, I mean, see, Harden, I don't. Was Harden even consistent this series?
Like game by game.
Yeah. So game 1, we have James Harden, putting
Game
up
1 and 2,
22 and 14 assists, and
Yeah.
wait, I had a sneeze. Sorry. I actually, because I remember when I was telling you guys when the series started for game 1s, I had like a notepad and I was like writing down notes from the games I watched.
Yeah.
I didn't continue that after a bunch of game 1s, so I didn't really get the whole story. But from the Raptors Sixers game 1, one of the points I wrote down was Harden is playing with confidence. 22 points.
22 and 14 doesn't help out.
14 is good.
Yeah.
Can't deny it.
No, he was playing like, remember how again, back to Chris Paul, you know how we were talking about like how he like plays the game at his own pace? Harden was doing what he kind of wanted to do. Like it was really, really confident gameplay in game 1. So now then if we look at game 2, they win again. James Harden only puts up 14 because he shoots the ball half less. So he goes from like 17 shots to 9. So he doesn't shoot the ball as much, and he's not as involved on the assists or really anything. He's just kind of out there. So he goes from the 22 and 14 to 14 and 6.
Okay.
Which is not that great. For James Harden, you can't have that. 14 and 6. A role player can get you 14 and 6.
Yeah.
Okay, now we have game 3. On the road, he puts up 19 and 10. So kind of in that middle ground now.
Yeah,
He's in between.
I think this was the one where he fouled out.
This is the complete
Actually.
middle. He did foul out.
Isn't Embiid ruled out for like a while?
I don't know. I thought it just said indefinitely. I don't know because
No,
indefinitely means it has no
mean anything.
timetable.
All I know is that there isn't a timetable for him yet, so I have no clue.
So basically, what we have right now,
One game.
what we have right now is Harden had great game 1, a lackluster game 2, and then in the middle of those two was his game 3. Okay. So right now he's kind of all over the place. Then we go to game 4, 22 and 9. Once again, it was back to 17 shots, but didn't shoot the ball. He didn't shoot the ball well.
Yeah.
And he had 10 of his 22 points were free throws.
Yeah,
So the only reason he ended on that kind of path is because of free throws, which is a good thing because he's getting to the line, which obviously we know very well that's one of the best things that James Harden is. No, we just know how good James Harden is in the past at getting to the line. So that's a good sign, but this is the first game that Philly loses.
Yeah.
It's still kind of a whatever game from James Harden. Now we go to game 5. Yeah. They're home. They're looking to round this out in 5 games. James Harden puts up 15 and 7.
Yeah, they get blown out. So definitely probably the worst game from the series.
Oh.
More so than the second game.
And then he finally has another good game in game 6. 22 and 15. 15 assists and 22 points on 7 of 12 shooting. So his good games were games 1 and 6, but those 4 games in between were not so great from a great player.
Yeah.
So if your answer is, are they consistent?
Definitely not.
No, he was really only because he doesn't need to be consistent, Ron. He needs to be consistently good.
But yeah, he needs to be like at least just consistently involved with the
People
team.
okay, man. Let's just say, worst case scenario, Embiid ruled out for the next series.
Okay.
What happens?
I think it's over.
Yeah. Well, how about the first 2 games he's out? How about that? I say it's still winnable. If Embiid is not playing, Harden needs to at minimum drop 30.
Here's what I need to tell you right
minimum.
now. I'm telling you, put me on air right now. If
Alright.
if Philly goes to Miami and they lose the first 2 games, the series is over. That's it. They're not coming back down 2-0. I'm telling you right now, they're not.
You heard it here, folks. You heard it here first, folks.
So if they go in there and Embiid either doesn't play or even if he does play and they just lose, if they don't take a game from Miami on the road in the first 2 games, it's over. I can't see Philly winning 4 out of the next 5. They're too inconsistent of a team to win 4 out of the next 5. So if we see, obviously this is horrible that we see Embiid. Obviously, arguably the MVP.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be out for at least.
No, you can't say he is arguably the MVP.
No, yeah.
Do we think he's the MVP? No, but he's in the conversation.
But yeah, he's probably not gonna play.
But if he doesn't play, so let's say probably he doesn't play game 1, right? Okay, let's say they lose because whatever. If he doesn't come back game 2 and Harden doesn't have a great game for game 2 and they lose, I'm telling you, bro, it's wraps. Give me the Heat versus I don't even know.
That other series is
because the other series is a toss-up. What do you guys think about that other series? Jesus.
Well, even though I have Philly winning the series, yeah, I'm gonna need a masterclass.
We need our Rockets James Harden back. That's what we need.
Exactly. I don't know if he can do that anymore.
I don't think he can.
Who knows?
Any more opinions? Any more opinions about anything?
I just want to see Harden perform, please.
Please. Harden, if you're hearing this right now, we are big fans. We've always been big fans. We need you. Please.
To just do at least good for 2 games.
I'm here to tell you right now. We don't hate Harden. We don't. We love Harden. At least I do. I'll say I do.
I didn't even hate it when he left the Rockets.
I didn't either. I was
Even
saying, you know
though
what? Good for him. I remember when he left, he went to Brooklyn. I said, you know what? Good for you. I was happy for him. I was like, he's gonna win in Brooklyn, and obviously that didn't turn out well. But I do want it. I want to see him succeed. Because if James Harden gets a ring,
It's pretty massive for the
I mean, we're not talking about top 25 all
the
time.
legacy, bro.
So, but yeah. Any more opinions about anything related to the first round of the Eastern Conference for any series?
I'm really excited for the future of this, man. I'm excited to watch games with the cast of Pure Buckets in person. That will be hype.
God, that's gonna be so
Soon.
good.
Yeah, because
We're gonna have
summer's
so
coming up.
much. We're gonna be chilling there in a nice room, on a nice TV. We're gonna be just watching these games. It's gonna
Only
be
2
very
weeks until college is over for
soon.
the majority
Soon.
of us.
It's gonna be very enjoyable. And we have some nice plans for the setup coming up.
I
For
think I'll be
Oh,
done
yeah.
with all my. I'll be done with my finals by like Wednesday.
Yeah, I guess we can tease that now.
Uh,
Actually, if anybody's actually like listening, we will be having an in-person setup for the summer.
Oh yeah.
So we have multiple
I don't know
mics.
if you have all the mics yet.
No, but we'll
Do we?
it won't be that big. We got it on lock. Don't worry.
Okay.
So we will do some in person. So we can do a lot more. And obviously with summer, we can do a lot more focus. I don't know how you guys think about like the video ideas, but my favorite ones obviously to do are the lists,
The lists
where
again?
everyone gets the lists. So we could do tons of lists.
Because
could do,
they've definitely changed it a little bit, at least for the more recent ones.
Yeah, so we need to do a remake of those lists that we did in the past, but we also need to do like some new lists. We need to do a lot more all-time stuff because we haven't really done any all-time stuff, I think, so far on this channel, really. And we need to, obviously, I know Vipin, you love the hot takes a lot.
I think it's so fire.
So
Thank you.
we have a lot of fun stuff planned ahead. So, and obviously with the summer as well, we might be able to have a lot of guests on the show.
Yeah, because
So-
they'll mostly be free.
So yeah.
Unless they're taking summer classes. Then it's
Yeah. All right. Anything you guys have more to say? And someone else take us out.
the Nets ruined my perfect bracket.
The Nets. Do you guys think?
The
Nah,
Nets
you know what?
ruined it.
Well, I'll leave that for future. Anyways, yeah, it was. I enjoyed talking about the East. I think this playoffs is really good so far. It's been a lot of fun to watch.
I mean, yeah, there's only one sweep. I mean, two of the games were only 5 series, but like they were closer than that sweep. Oh, actually, no, one of them was not. The freaking Hawks one. Honestly, the Hawks and the Bucks ones were probably like the least fun series to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah, you're right.
Every other series was pretty good. All the Western series were ridiculously good to watch. Really fun.
Yep. All right. Well,
Yep.
go on then, Vipin.
Oh, you want me to do it? All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching the Eastern side of the first round. I'm super excited to the future of the playoffs. We're gonna get a lot more content coming out as time goes on, as school winds down. But thank you guys so much for watching. It's been fun to record, and yeah, peace.
See ya.
Bye.